As you know, on the Daily Show, we like to listen to different types of stories, get some insight from different people from around the globe, from South Africa specifically, and telling stories from a South African perspective. This one has a little bit of a twist. Today, we're going to be talking to someone that really has a lot of insight into CSK and particularly the South African players I want to hear about. But we have a couple of questions that we're going to be asking our guest that will be various different things. It will talk about different aspects of the game. It will talk about the media industry as well, because that's something that we all are in. So we're going to be discussing a lot of things today on the show. Now, as you know, our guest on the show is Rupa, and she's going to be joining us very, very soon. Myself and Aditya are going to be chatting to her about everything CSK and everything cricket media. So, without further ado, you know what you guys have to do before we get started. You first have to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. It's 100% free every single month in your inbox. We launched a new issue today with Aiden Markram on the front cover. So, go ahead and subscribe to that. Our exclusive interview with regards to the cover story is on this channel as well. So go ahead and subscribe to that too. If you are new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, and I'm hoping that it's the Ruphas fans as well that are tuning in. So subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's content. Really excited about this one. Get your questions ready in the live chat. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid. My co-host Aditya is next to me. And today we are joined by Rupa, and we're going to be talking to her about everything CSK and her career. So welcome to the show. First time on the show. How are you feeling? How's your day been?
Hi, Khalid. Hi, Aditya. Thank you so much for having me over. I think the last few months were very, very hectic, but it's sort of good to be a little relaxed. I think it was. I was in Dubai till about a few days back, and it's good to be back home finally. So, yep. Not an otherwise a slow day today, but that's good. I guess that's good.
That's good to refresh. We know how hectic the media industry is, and content producing is something that you do and you know a lot of. What I want to talk to you about first and foremost, before we get into the real questions of the show, I first want to find out a little bit more about you and your journey, especially as a female in the industry. It can be quite tricky. I know in South Africa it's quite tricky to be a female in the industry, and there's a lot of massive stories that have gone around. We've tried to give promotion to a lot of females on this channel as well. So I want to hear your journey. What made you decide to go into the media industry?
Well, so a couple of things there. So let's talk about what the second part of your question, which is what made me join this. I think right from the time I was a kid, I loved communicating a lot. I loved talking. I liked the idea of news. I liked reading a lot. So I think communication was a big part of what I enjoyed growing up. And the other thing that I really was I loved being a part of was sports. It was in the family. We loved watching sports. We loved growing up talking about any kind of sport, not just cricket. So I think that was a natural. So both of them kind of just married really well, I guess. It's difficult. It's sometimes not really easy. It's unfortunate when some things don't really come together, even when you have the passion or you have the inclination. But I think in my case, it all kind of just all gelled well as time went, and I think things fell into place, and I also knew what I wanted at some stage, so I just followed the path, so to speak. I think that probably sums up why I'm here. So the first part regarding what you mentioned about women being in sports industry, I think you've probably hit the nail on the head there right at the start. I guess it isn't different here in India as well. I think over the years, maybe you tend to believe that people are probably still okay with the notion of a woman being in a sports field that's highly dominated by men. But I guess it will take a while for things to probably plateau out or to kind of equalize in that sense. It is difficult. It's difficult. There are a lot of challenges, especially when you're dealing with men in different phases. Whether it's in the organization, whether it's where you're working, whether it's the team, the players. I guess there are some good things also, but there are not largely a lot of many challenges as well that we have to cope up with. And I think that's the most interesting part. I don't think I have let my side of what I bring to the table as a woman go or let go of that aspect because of this. I think I've continued to reinvent myself so that I can still stay relevant in a field that's largely very, very difficult to be um, to be a part of.
Yeah, and the fact that you're a content producer, I mean, that's something that I understand quite well, because that's how I started in the industry as well. And at my previous job, I still am a content producer, I guess. That is the definition of it. But from your perspective, I would like to know that switch from being a fan, because I've created this platform for fans to come and give their views. So a lot of the people that are involved here, there are fans that are just talking about cricket. It's not necessarily journalists necessarily. Some guys do want to become journalists, and we give them the opportunity. And with my journalistic past, I try to help them on that journey and give them the tips that they need. But other than that, it's a largely an opinion-based place where fans get to chat about the game, which they don't normally get to do. And sometimes we bring guests on, cricketers on, for them to interact with. But for you to switch, because I know if you're a content producer and you're working for an organization, of course, it's a lot different. You can't be biased. There's a lot of things that you need to do to switch. So can you give me that journey of that switch from fan to content producer and actually being that journalist basically in the industry?
Interesting question. I think the switch happened very, very early, and I will tell you the story because I think I believe that was really important. That played a very important role in shaping the person that I went on to be. I think this was when I was a kid. I think I was 10 or 11 years old. Chennai Open was a huge thing. I guess in that where all the ADP stars used to keep coming every year. I think Rafa Nadal came. It was quite huge. So at that point, I remember that there was this. I was a kid and I saw all these players and I'm like, wow, I'm going to get all of their autographs and I'm going to meet all of them. So when I did that, I think there was this one player whom I didn't know. I wasn't aware of who he was. So I went and I got his autograph and he signed it. And I said, can I know your name, please? And he said, you don't know my name? It's Oleg Ogrodov. And I'm like, okay, never heard of you, but fine. And I was so embarrassed. I was highly embarrassed. And that day I realized I'm never going to go take autographs. I'm never going to go take photographs of all these people. And I am going to try. And I think that was like I think that was like a very conscious switch to being more objective and not letting myself get too close or involved with the other side, so to say. And I think that kind of translated into my work automatically as I grew up. I was like, okay, I'm going to report on this, so I have to be objective. Okay, I'm going to interview him. I cannot let what I know of him kind of affect my line of questioning, and especially if it had to be tough. But at the same time, I would also make an attempt to get to know all these guys, because I felt that I think the only way they would give me a good interview is if they connected with me and got to know where I came from. So I think it's a very, very delicate balance. You can't really lose sight of the line somewhere. I think there has to be a line, but at the same time, you know that you need to also get the best out of these guys, because they will not be that comfortable speaking to someone if they really didn't understand what that person meant or what that person was or where he or she came from. So I think that switch happened very early, and it was a very delicate balance that I've kind of hoped to maintain over the years, I guess.
Yeah, that's excellent. Okay, Aditya, let's get straight into the questions. I'm gonna give it over to you. You can ask the first main questions, and then we can do it like we normally do.
Hi, Rupha. It's great to have you on.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
my first question is that can you give our viewers a sense of what you do exactly in the cricket industry, and can you share some of your highlights, your favorite stories, perhaps?
Okay, I'm going to keep this as short as possible. So I would divide my career into three phases. It's been a long while. So three phases. One was when I was with a news station. I was with CNN, IBN. I was a sports presenter and a reporter. High points there. I covered I did the 2008 Olympics, Commonwealth 2010 when it was in Delhi. I was probably the only Indian journalist to have interviewed Serena and Venus together. Did a bit of cricket, but mostly it was non-sports. So tennis, obviously, Leander and Mahesh's first interview they did when they got back together was with me. That was my highlights, a bit about that. Moving to the second phase was when I was with Star Sports. I was a live cricket producer. Too many to count there. I've produced a lot of former cricketers who you all watch doing commentary. I've worked on World Cups, Champions Trophy, IPLs, bilateral series. I co-launched the Star Sports Tamil channel, the regional channel, the first of its kind in India, Star Sports Tamil. And then now the third part is when I am freelancing, where I've taken up projects as a presenter, as a producer. I obviously worked extensively with CSK during that time. Also, just came back doing being one of the producers at the World Cup. So I think roughly you get an idea. It's about what my journey has been. Don't want to take too much of my time speaking about this, but yeah, I guess you probably get a picture.
So speaking of CSK, from the outside, the sense that we get is that it appears to be like a family, a really close-knit sort of environment. What can you tell us about that? Because we talk a lot about cricket and team cultures is quite important to us. So what insight can you share with respect to that?
I think it's true. The one thing that even for me, it's not CSK is not the only team I have come to know pretty well. I think when you're in the circuit, when you're in the industry, and it's a very small industry. I mean, and there are a lot of people, but it is everyone knows everyone who knows everyone. So I guess you also interact with a lot of the other franchises. The players have probably crossed franchises as well. They've played across other teams. So you get a sense of what every team dynamics is in terms of the relationship between the management and the players, which becomes very key. The couple of things that I've noticed, or rather observed, when it comes to Chennai particularly, is that there is zero interference when it comes to the players and the cricket and the team from the management. I think that area is so sanctimonious. Rather, it's untouched. I think that kind of gives them that sense of security automatically. The other thing is, of course, they which is paramount for CSK and for Chennai Super Kings, is that they safeguard all the interests of not just the players, but the families of all the players as well. So I think that becomes very important. I think the player, wants to know that the family is treated so well, then they feel probably that much happier, right? So I think that becomes a very important aspect. And they're all together, and everyone, especially the families, I think they all kind of get on so well with each other, and that becomes like such an integral part. I know the other important aspect, especially when they're traveling in a bubble, is the CEO Kasi and his wife. I think they are so warm. They end up, especially this time, they ended up cooking a lot of times. There were a lot of festivals that overlapped with the IPL. They ended up cooking for the entire family. Some others also took turns. Some of the wives would come and help. So it became like sort of like this. You're in this huge Indian colony, and things are happening every day. I mean, there's work, and also there's something like this that makes you feel that you're home. So I guess that kind of is a very natural sense of feeling that you get when you're part of the Chennai Super Kings.
Before I get to Aditya gets to the next question, I want to ask you a question about overseas players and when they come into the team. What is the team environment like, and how do you help them settle in quickly?
I think a lot of them, especially the guys who are, for example, if you talk about Chennai Super Kings, they've been part of so many franchises. I mean, if you look at Faf, if you look at Imran, I think they're such journeymen of cricket. They've played across teams and countries and franchises all over the world. So I think the concept of gelling in for some people like them doesn't really become a massive challenge. Maybe for the youngsters, like someone like a Lungi, for example, if I had to speak of just the South African cricketers, or say a Mitch Santner, all these younger guys who probably new to cricket and new to franchise cricket, I think they sort of gravitate towards the other youngsters in the team. Not too many in Chennai Super Kings, unfortunately, at the moment, but there are quite a handful of those, and they kind of end up forming like this little gang, which is very cute. And then you have, of course, the veterans or the elder, the slightly senior cricketers around as well, who kind of come in, and every time there's this gathering or a birthday or a dinner, they're all together anyway. So but it does happen. They kind of they find a few people who probably they connect with and they latch on. For example, in Chennai Super Kings, a few of them. Like Lungi, Mitch, they all got along so well with Sai and Jaggi and Rutu, and it became like a bit of a gathering of sorts for them as well. And also similar interests. They all love just hanging and chatting, playing games, playing PlayStation. So it kind of becomes a sort of a talking point in that sense. And I think they find their way. It's not too hard. I would presume not too hard.
CSK over the years has had a whole host of very successful South African cricketers. Right from the beginning, there's been Albie Mokul, Justin Kemp, Kaya Ndini, and now Faf has been around for 10 years. Imran Tahir has been there for about 4 years. Lungi has been there for 4 years. And I'm just wondering, what's that like from a cultural point of view? Because it's one thing for a player to play on for one season or maybe 2 seasons, but here we're talking about an entire career that has been spent at CSK, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, it is, and I think so. I think for especially if I had to speak about Faf, because I've interacted most with him. I think of all these guys, maybe even Albie a little bit, but Faf a lot. I think they've kind of hit that sweet spot. I think he's definitely hit that sweet spot when it comes to being a part of CSK. And it has a lot to do with his relationship with MS. It has a lot to do with the relationship that he shares with the support staff, a few of them that he's close to as well. I think that sense of, again, I come back to that word which which will probably come up again, which is a sense of security, which is a sense of comfort that they find, and that kind of also helps them perform. And for him, Faf has just found that space in CSK, and it's like it's almost as if it's second skin. I guess a lot of the things that he couldn't probably achieve in the national outfit, he probably has seen himself do in an IPL with the Chennai Super Kings. I guess that's what it is for him. I remember this time when we were all together, his kids were there. His Emery was there as well. So they ended up having such a good time. And usually Emery's and they aren't able to go out and mingle as much because it is very stressful. But she was there this time, and so were the kids. They had a great time with the other kids, and I think and they're missing that whole atmosphere right now. So I think it's a lot to do with that aspect as well. But yeah, he's probably just found that niche which was missing in some sense from the other aspect of his career.
And when you interview those guys, from my perspective, luckily I've had the opportunity to do so too. Faf, Lungi, Tahir. What I've noticed about them is no matter who they're dealing with, they've always felt this need to try and help others. And they always try to make you feel very comfortable. And that's the vibe I got from them personally. But it would be a lot better for me to learn from you and your journey with them when you've had a chance to speak to them. What sort of vibe did you get from our South African boys over there in CSK?
They're incredible. They're just incredibly sweet people. Lungi, for example, is first of all, I love his voice. I like the way he speaks. I think it's you can just probably, you end up forgetting your questions maybe if you aren't really focused and you're not used to it too much. But jokes apart, I think Lungi, again, someone who gets along very well. He and Juggy are practically inseparable, and there are a lot of times we end up kind of chilling together or speaking to him. So he's supremely fun, very good sport. Gets, from what I know, obviously very involved with his workout schedule, his training, and things like that. But really, really damn sweet guy. Faf and Imran, amazing, amazing people. There's so much you can keep learning by just having a conversation with them or sitting at breakfast with them. Imran, very, very. I think for him, especially this season, having not being able to play a game because of there's just so many good guys, and you can play just 4 foreign players. It's tough for someone like him to have his morale up and be that motivated, but he was. This time he ended up buying this huge kite, and he was flying the kite, and everyone kind of got around and started doing that. His family is just amazing. I mean, great guys. So too Faf. Faf, again, you can have a good laugh around. He loves to have a good joke and chill and relax. And I think this time I also ended up interviewing him and Emery together, and that was another eye-opening aspect. And he told me right before the start, he's like, "I'm doing this for you. We never have given interviews together." And I said, "Okay, great. That's awesome." And it was such a, and that aspect of him was also another eye-opener. Him with Emery and them together. So I think all of them. I think all of these cricketers, they kind of you get to know them slowly by the years, and I think that was where we are at. And I mean, very comfortable to talk to, so I don't even have to kind of say that out loud.
Yeah, I think the closest I got to that was you picking up the phone when you phoned him during the interview. That's the closest I got. Aditya?
I can imagine.
This year, obviously, CSK won the IPL and they were by far the best team in the tournament. But, what's the environment like when things are not really going the team's way as they didn't in the last IPL versus this year when, they were by far the best?
Good question. I think from our point of view, last year was very difficult. But again, from their point of view, maybe it was just another season. And from whoever I spoke to, I think they were fine. I think it wasn't the atmosphere was just as good. They trained just as they would. They were laughing. They were interacting with each other just as they would had they won the previous matches, or there was no difference. I think I probably, from like a lot of us who are on the periphery, probably felt the difference because we felt that much more affected by all of that, but not them, I guess. I mean, yes, it hurt. Of course, it hurt. I won't say it didn't. And knowing MS and knowing the kind of person he is as a captain, I think I would probably speak on his behalf, I guess, for him. I mean, I would probably speak more about his side of things when it comes to something like this, because I guess in any scenario, it's a trickle-down effect. How the captain feels is how the team ends up feeling. There wasn't any discomfort or a general. There wasn't any negativity, but yes, it hurt him. It hurt him, and I think when they won this season, you could tell because there were tears that were shed. People were getting teary-eyed after the win, and you knew how much this mattered because how much last year hurt. So yes, there was hurt, but I don't think there was negativity or they let that affect the team environment. At least the players, no, not at all. Maybe on the periphery, there was a lot of that sense of not negativity, but that's not something pulling you down, maybe. But the players, the dressing room, the atmosphere, there was none of it. I think they were just. I think when you're a cricketer for that many years and in professional sports, you just know how to deal with these things. Just that Chennai Super Kings hadn't come to terms with something like that before, but I think it was fine. They dealt with it pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the super chat, Dix, as well. I just have to ask you this. Moving away from CSK, after this successful campaign, of course, of the IPL, it was a lot of exciting cricket being played in an environment where it was split up, yes, into two different parts. But ultimately, towards the end, you playing in conditions that the World Cup would be playing in.
Hmm.
Were you a little bit disappointed? Where do you think with India's display in the World Cup? What are your thoughts on that? And where do you think it went wrong? Where can we learn? Even South Africa as a country as well, but where can India learn from your campaign in the World Cup?
Look, I mean, so I was at the game. I was producing. I was the producer on the match where South Africa won against England but got knocked out. Look, I mean, okay, let's talk about South Africa first. South Africa's not making it to the last four is just highly unfortunate. I mean, a team that's won enough number of matches and is level on 8 points not to make it is just unfortunate. They played amazing cricket. There was something special. In fact, we did this feature on the fighting spirit. We spoke to Rassi, we spoke to Boucher, and you saw that. You saw it with Rabada, you saw it with all these guys, and there is something special about this side, right? It's not you can hope for this side actually winning an ICC trophy. That could happen next year, So South Africa, yeah, just unfortunate, man. I mean, played amazing cricket, had some great moments, have some very promising people who can stand up and deliver. So that was that. India did not play good cricket. Well, now they are though. I think they've won their game just now. I think they just won their game, but well, they just. I think though there is some truth to what some of the players came out in the media saying. Bubble fatigue is a thing. I wouldn't say no. Yes, a lot of other players also were equally fatigued, but I think India plays that much more cricket. I think. So, and this whole last sort of tournament for Virat as captain, I think all of that kind of makes this weird concoction. Probably did that affect them? Don't know, but they just didn't play good cricket. I guess. I think towards the second phase, some spark is what we saw. Wish that had happened right from the start, but they probably didn't play good cricket enough to make it to the top four. So I guess that was that. It happens, and it happens. It happens.
Final one from you, Aditya.
I guess my last question is, what's next for you? What are your next assignments? Are you going to be traveling to someplace exciting?
No, I think I've had what 5 months away. I've traveled for 5 months. I think I'm pretty much done with the traveling for a while. There's just a lot of stuff at the personal. I think that's the one thing about being a freelancer. I think you can choose what you want to do and what. I know the cricket is non-stop. There's New Zealand and then there's South Africa. Khalid will be very, very busy during that time, but I hope to take it easy for the next couple of months at least. Maybe, hopefully till the end of the year. Should be a little free. But yeah, maybe a few remote work happening from home, which I can probably still manage, but traveling, no, not for a while. Hopefully not.
Okay, so I watched your interview with Faf,
Okay.
and I'm gonna steal something from you because you put my favorite captain on the spot. So I want to try and play a little charade with you, and let's see if you can
Oh,
get this one.
sure.
Okay,
I love it. I love a good charade.
so obviously I'm also going to pick a movie, same
Okay.
as you.
Okay. 4 words. First word. No. No country for old men. No. Second word. No time. No time. Is it the reason James Bond? No time to die. No time to.
Well
Yeah.
done. At least you got it
Not
right.
bad. See,
I knew when you got the second word. See, Faf, this
nice
is what you.
one. Nice
This is how
one.
you play charades. At least play, screenshot this, copy this, and watch it. But guys, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thank you, Rupa, for coming on the show and also
Thank
giving
you,
some
Khalid.
insight. I hope you can come on a couple of shows. With the India series coming now, it would be excellent if you could maybe come on the shows with us and maybe on some
Why
of the
not?
previous
It'll be
reviews.
exciting.
I'll chat to Aditya about that or setting it up. To all the guys out there, don't forget to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every single issue is 100% free into your inbox, every issue. So you can go ahead and subscribe right away. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe as well. Without further ado, guys, that's all we have for you today. We'll see you again for another daily show tomorrow. Take care, everybody, and good luck for the rest of the season for you as well, or till we talk again.
Absolutely. It was really nice being here, guys. Thank you.
And thank you. See you.